Because again, we kept saying this, and we keep saying that there's this massive talent shortage in cybersecurity. So why are we ignoring 50% of the population? So for me, inclusion is not just a nice to have, it's really a strategic imperative.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Cyber Ranges Uncovered. In this episode, we're talking about inclusion, resilience, and readiness, and how global initiatives like the Women4Cyber Foundation are reshaping the cyber workforce through hands-on learning and representation. Joining me is Nina Alderson, Chief Operating Officer of Women4Cyber, to explore how applied training and community engagement are helping women across Europe and beyond take their place in cybersecurity roles. Let's get started. Nina, would you please introduce yourself and your role at Women4Cyber Foundation?
So I'm Nina Alderson, and I'm the Chief Growth Officer at the European Cybersecurity Organization and COO at the Women4Cyber Foundation. I was actually part of the team that co-founded Women4Cyber back in 2019. So today, in addition to my role at EXO, I supervise a team of 6 incredible women in the Women4Cyber Foundation team who work tirelessly every day for our community, for our chapters, of which we currently have 34 across geographical Europe. And so my focus is really on ensuring that the daily work of the foundation runs smoothly, of course, but also on expanding our activities, reaching strategic partnerships.
The mission of Women4Cyber sits at the intersection of opportunity and strategy, advocating for a more diverse, skilled cyber workforce, of course, for women. For those unfamiliar, how would you describe the mission of the Women4Cyber Foundation, and what impact are you aiming to drive across Europe and beyond?
I think that the mission of Women4Cyber is simple but powerful. It's really to make cybersecurity education, training, and job opportunities more accessible to women. And our goal is really to break down barriers, whether that's through scholarships, mentorship, or practical training programs, so that women not only enter the field, but also thrive in it. And by doing this, we're not just trying to foster inclusivity as a whole, but we're really wanting to help close the overall talent shortage and build a stronger, more resilient cybersecurity workforce across Europe and beyond.
It's my understanding that you've been involved in also cyber policy and strategy for years. I'm curious what inspired your personal focus on building more inclusive pathways into cybersecurity for women.
I'll be honest, for me, it wasn't really about a higher calling. It was just kind of pure pragmatism. The data is also clear in that, diverse and inclusive teams perform better. They're more innovative, they're more resilient, and ultimately they're more effective at solving complex problems, which is exactly what cybersecurity demands.
What would you say are some of the often missed opportunities or areas when it comes to building a truly diverse and resilient workforce?
I think that one of the biggest blind spots is how narrowly we actually define the talent pipeline. So we tend to focus on conventional profiles, people with technical degrees or years of experience, when in reality, cybersecurity needs a much broader range of skills. So I think there's a lot of untapped potential in people coming from non-traditional and non-academic backgrounds, as well as also those from other disciplines, whether that's psychology, law, communications, or even the arts. Another big challenge is unrealistic job descriptions. We often see entry-level roles that are asking, for several years of experience and this laundry list of certifications. And that's not just discouraging, it's exclusionary. And then finally, that's obviously, especially with the Women4Cyber lens on, there's the unconscious bias. I think even when organizations want to be inclusive, bias tends to creep in during recruitment, interviews, promotions, and so on. And so I think if we don't work to actively address that, we're going to keep replicating some of the same patterns and kind of miss out on that diversity. Well, again, makes teams stronger and more resilient.
Are there any specific, areas or ways that you think the industry can most benefit from more skilled women, particularly in leading cybersecurity roles?
I think that the key here is the leadership, and what I try to always do is hammer home the point and the importance of those soft human transversal skills. It's not just about technology, cybersecurity. We really do need people that are able to communicate very clearly with leadership, with regulators, with end users. And I think that women especially often excel at kind of bridging that gap between technical and business language. Another non-negligible thing is empathy, which is a key strength that women have. So if you think about, designing security policies, if you can design policies that people would actually follow by understanding human behavior and having like a user-centric perspective, I think that that's something that women naturally bring to the table. But I think that bringing more women into these roles is ultimately going to drive innovation, because again, if we go back to the outperformance of diverse teams versus homogenous ones, It helps close the talent gap again, because you're tapping into a wider pipeline. And I think that it also leads to better governance and compliance, because women leaders often tend to emphasize ethics, transparency, and accountability, which is so critical in cybersecurity. And then finally, shouldn't forget the importance also of just the way that it should showcase role models for future talent.
I think you covered that beautifully. I would like to step into a little bit more also on that specific skill development aspect, because we know that breaking into cybersecurity often requires more than certifications. It's about exposure, repetition, and relevance, let's say. Women4Cyber supports everything from mentorship, as you mentioned earlier, to technical upskilling. Why would you say applied scenario-based training is such a critical part of that journey?
Well, I think that it's especially critical in cybersecurity, because cybersecurity is dynamic and constantly evolving. And that's where hands-on applied training becomes essential. Professionals need to be adaptive, and they need to be continuously learning. And I think that the practical experience, whether that's through drills, simulations, or whatnot, it really does help people analyze, prioritize, and act under pressure. And that's what the real world incidents demand. And so I think it does a good job of preparing teams for high stakes situations, but equally importantly, it also builds teamwork and collaboration, which again are those human skills that I think now are becoming even more critical for effective cyber defense.
In your experience, are there any practical training opportunities that you would say make the biggest difference for women trying to enter or grow within cyber roles?
I think that what we're seeing with Women4Cyber is more broadly mentorship being very, very important for women in cybersecurity, because I think that you can try to acquire, go for a specific training, certification, and all that, but that extra layer of mentorship, what that offers women in terms of advancing in their careers is non-negligible. I mean, hands-on experience is another game changer. Workshops, crisis simulations, and case studies, they all really help bridge the gap between theory and practice, and it makes people feel more job ready, I think, in cybersecurity. And then, part of mentorship, but more widely, and I think this is important, especially for women as well, it's just having community support and feeling part of a community or a network, whether that is a mentorship circle or whether it's a professional community. It creates this sense of belonging and encouragement.
What makes for a good mentor, and how that tactic is applied within your mentorship program?
The key thing, obviously, is that we're able to source mentors, people who have this, collegial nature and spirit, this wish to give back in some sort of way. And I think what's important to mention is that in our mentorship program, we don't only have women, we have a lot of men too. And a big part of a huge part of our mentors as well, they take on more than one mentee. And bear in mind, all of these people are contributing their time for free. There's also something for everyone, because we're seeing some mentors who like to provide support or advice about going through the interview process, for instance. Or then we see some mentorships, it's more about women who aspire to become a CISO. And then so it's about a very specific career path and what do they need to do to get there. And it could also just be general support of like, how do I navigate my current job that is, a very male-dominated environment. I'm finding it hard to sort of put myself out there and so on. As long as there's an open communication and understanding, it's a very enriching experience for both parties.
It sounds like you guys almost need a dating app version for your mentorship program to get the right match.
Well, we kind of have at this point. The numbers are so huge. We used to do it manually, back in the day. We can't do that anymore. So now we have a specific tool that helps us out with an algorithm, and so far it's working quite well.
On that note, I would like to switch back a little bit to what Cyber Ranges and Women4Cyber have in common. Just recently having concluded the Cyber Drill. This year's Women4Cyber and Cyber Ranges Cyber Drill represents a new kind of opportunity, live, applied, and built to meet learners where they are. What motivated Women4Cyber to explore this type of scenario-based cyber exercise format?
Well, we were very excited about the opportunity, because what it did was it gave us finally the prime occasion to be able to connect with the technical experts in our community and give them a platform to shine. These live scenario-based exercises are one of the best ways to bring them out of the woodwork and have them, test their abilities a little bit. Now moving forward, it's also about showing, that there are these options out there and making these experiences more accessible to women. so that they can feel more confident in stepping into technical roles and real world challenges.
So I think that there's something that is really unique in bringing together all sides of the different types of women in cyber from those different perspectives to A, see what it's like on the other side of the fence, and B, maybe even find a new interest for something more technical or less technical, depending on what those teams are composed of.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that you hit the nail on the head. I think that it goes even another level to actually showing the complementarity of roles that you need within those teams. And then it goes back to, again, showcasing how that diversity of thought, knowledge, skills is important to be able to respond to handle cyber incidents.
How was this cyber drill designed to be accessible and valuable for women coming from different technical backgrounds?
Well, I think first and foremost, all the credit goes to Cyber Ranges with regards to actually designing the drill and everything. One of the clear things is that it's made for women by women, right? So it's been a space really designed to empower and showcase female technical talent. I think second, the fact that it is real world and hands-on, again, allows a wider pipeline of women experts to engage in it. And then I think also the fact that it's collaborative and not competitive. So I think that that's a very important thing as well for women. So you're really working in teams, you're building trust and really learning from each other in this kind of supportive environment. And then, I think it was important for us just beyond the exercise to just create this community and visibility. An important point to mention as well was that it was free to join. So it doesn't get more accessible than that.
Accessibility perfectly brings me into my next topic. There's clearly growing demand for cyber skills across Europe and beyond. In fact, actually, the cyber drill initially was designed for women in Europe, but we ended up opening that to a global access because we had signups from Africa, Asia, North America, South America, all over, which was exciting to see, of course. Where do you see the biggest opportunities for organizations like Women4Cyber to help close those access gaps?
Clearly, one of the biggest opportunities we have with the community that we have, the people that we're engaging, the activities that we run, including the cyber drill, is just to make the access to training and resources more equitable. What we do, or at least we aim to do, is try and help bridge that gap by offering affordable or even sometimes free hands-on training, mentorship programs, scholarships. And we try to do that as much as possible as well for underrepresented groups. So we collaborated with a lot of different companies on dedicated programs and scholarships that try to give opportunities for women from lower socioeconomic backgrounds. One important thing to mention there is that we have one of our flagship projects, which is the Road to Cyber platform that we developed in collaboration with the European Cybersecurity Organization. And I think that that's quite central to this effort, because what we're trying to do with that is provide a one-stop shop that connects individuals with training opportunities, certifications, job opportunities. And then I think that, with that and making these resources more visible and accessible, I think that we can actually bit by bit help people navigate their journey into cybersecurity more effectively.
How can these collaborations with certain parties help democratize training and improve representation specifically for women in the technical pipeline?
Platforms like Cyber Ranges is the perfect example of platforms that are really game changers, because they really endeavor to make high quality hands-on training accessible to more people. Cyber drills simulate real world incidents in a more structured and immersive environment. And so it's collaborative, it's focused on practical skills. And I think things like decision making under pressure, teamwork, and applying technical knowledge in realistic scenarios is a kind of experience that's very important for building confidence and competence, of course, as well. But I think that's something that women really look to. I think they're always on kind of like a self-improvement journey, always wanting to reskill, upskill, whatever it is. And I think that, platforms like Cyber Ranges really provide that. Because we bring the community, we have, a lot of young, ambitious women, people out there who are eager to get stuck in. And thanks to the collaborations that we have with, for instance, Cyber Ranges, it really allows us to plug them directly into these experiences.
Obviously, skills matter, but confidence, representation, and peer support often determine whether someone actually sees a future and can build a future in cyber. Why are those elements just as critical as technical know-how, especially for women transitioning into cybersecurity?
I think they're fundamental because they really help you grow and succeed in a field in the field in a way that makes you feel validated and job ready and confident of your abilities to do so. So I think that confidence, which is, for instance, again, like I said, something that mentorship gives as well, it gives you the courage to take on challenges, to speak up, and again, assert your expertise in what is, let's face it, still a very male-dominated industry. And I think that visibility matters because if your work isn't seen, it's harder to advance. Technical skills might get you in the door, but the confidence, the visibility in the community is what's going to help you stay, thrive, and lead, hopefully one day.
What kind of support systems actually help women stay and succeed in the industry?
That's where employers have a big role to play in ensuring that the company culture reflects real inclusivity, opportunity, and again, visibility. Because I think to break down those barriers of imposter syndrome, of tokenism, whatever it might be, we really need to bring visibility to the women that are pushing things forward, that may even be pushing the envelope when it comes to devising certain security policies or whatever it may be. I cannot even count the number of times we've had women tell us where they brought something to the table, an idea to the table, and somebody else, often a man, took credit for it. This is the reality still in a lot of workplaces. To be cynical, that's just a fact. So I think that there's a lot in terms of the culture that needs to change.
What would you love to see change in the next 3 to 5 years when it comes to specifically inclusion, representation, and real-world training in cybersecurity for women?
I'd love to see 3 big changes. First of all would be real inclusion, not just in numbers, but in culture, like we discussed. So that means creating environments where diverse voices are heard and valued and not just present. And it reminds me of this great quote by Verna Myers, that diversity is being invited to the party, inclusion is being asked to dance. Second, I think that we need better representation at all levels, and especially leadership, like we talked about. So we need more women, we need more underrepresented groups in decision-making roles, because that's where the real change happens. So that layer needs to be more diverse as well. And then third, I would say, practical hands-on training that's accessible to everyone. I think that very often cybersecurity education is theoretical, or it's locked behind expensive certifications. So we need more real-world simulations, and we need more mentorship programs and other pathways that allow people from all kinds of backgrounds to gain experience and confidence. And I think if we can achieve those things, we'll not only help close the talent gap, by the way, but I do think we'll be able to build a stronger, more innovative and resilient cybersecurity ecosystem.
And that wraps up this episode of Cyber Ranges Uncovered. Big thank you to Nina and Women4Cyber for their leadership and collaboration on building more inclusive, practical, and powerful cyber training ecosystems for women. For more expert conversations, follow Cyber Ranges on LinkedIn. We'll see you next time.